Onside. Dolphins game, and it's an onside kick.
A big inspiration for Gavin and I on this show is the MoveTheSticks podcast with Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks, two NFL analysts, I believe former scouts. I know DJ was. But they have a segment called Championship Foundation. It's color-coded analysis of each team. There is a recipe for a championship, supposedly. That means having a good quarterback, 3 offensive playmakers, 3 quality O-linemen, 2 pass rushers, and 3 defensive playmakers.
Blue equals a blue chip guy, right? Mm-hmm. Blue chip guy is pretty much the premier. That's exactly what you want out of somebody. Green is good, means they're getting their job done, but they're not great. Yellow means that they got some age concerns, maybe injury concerns or contract concerns. And pink means they're young or unproven. All right, Zach, you want to show us the Bears Championship Foundation?
Oh, I would love to. Now, I do have a hot take at our quarterback, just to start off right on the board.
Yeah, I was actually wondering about this. This is probably the biggest question mark.
You can argue that he is a yellow with the age, with the contract concerns. I would say most people would do that, but hey, you had a little Lions bias. I'm going to have a little Bears bias. I actually had him as pink. I actually said he was unproven.
Who, Fields?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just because I think that when you really break it down, he hasn't had a fair shot to prove what he's capable of on like a actually good roster. So this year we had a little bit of that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's probably a little bit of a biased choice, but I genuinely do think that the quarterback that we have seen so far is still developing. And I don't think we know what his ceiling is. For that reason, I put pink in my own little world. In the real world, he's probably a yellow. Yeah. You don't know what you're going to do with this contract. And whether that's age, injury, probably not. Maybe injury a little bit. They still could be moving on from him.
Yeah, I fully agree with you with the pink. I mean, because you think, like, if he gets traded to Atlanta, like, who knows what you might see from him or, any other team. He might have a breakout season. So, yeah, I would say he's unproven.
Okay, fair enough. And then offensive playmaker, number one's got to be DJ Moore. Oh, yeah. I put him at a blue chip.
I agree with you, yeah.
I've always liked DJ Moore. Like, I loved him on the Panthers, and when we traded for him, that was so hype.
A huge trade.
Yeah, because I was always a huge fan of DJ, and I think this was his first year where he was elite. He was arguably snubbed from Pro Bowl, All-Pro teams. There were a lot of good receivers, though, in the NFC, so couldn't fault him too much for that. I think, yeah, that's a blue chip guy right there. Do you disagree?
No doubt. No doubt blue chip guy, in my opinion. I mean, if I'm going to say Amon-Ra's a blue chip, they had very similar seasons last year, and DJ Moore's quarterback. Actually, no, I won't say that. I won't rip on Fields, my bad.
Yeah, and he didn't play as well with Bagent, but Bagent is just not a great quarterback, so that's part of it. The other offensive playmaker I had, or the second guy I had, was Cole Kmet. I gave him a green. I think that this year, again, another guy really kind of stepped into his role as the primary tight end, and he had a great season. He's pretty much improved slightly every year. Solid hands, phenomenal hands. Solid in the running game. He can definitely block as well. Has become a red zone threat too, which is good. So I gave him a green. They've already extended him. He is their franchise tight end going forward.
Yeah, I love it, man. I think he proved that last year. Definitely. I mean, if you wanted to go pink, young and unproven, I think this past season he proved that he's one of the best tight ends in the league, and he's a unit, man. That guy's huge.
Yeah, big hoss.
Yeah, he's just built like he's the perfect prototypical tight end. Like he's a Gronk build. Like that's what you want.
Yep. And then for the third offensive playmaker, I do think that the Bears need a third offensive playmaker just by themselves.
Go get Saquon then, bro.
Yeah, maybe. I would love that. But I'm going to talk about the 2 running backs that they do have. Deontay Foreman headed to be a free agent. But I had Khalil Herbert / Roschon Johnson together. I said they made a green because I think that Herbert, whenever he got over 10 carries this year, he had 100 yards, except for one game.
Wow.
But he had a receiving touchdown or something.
Interesting statistic there.
Yeah, so he was just banged up. He's a really solid guy. He led the league in yards per carry like the year before. And then Roschon Johnson is a really talented guy to Texas. It was amazing blocking, and just on third down out of the backfield was really good. So I think if we have that running back by committee, he has been pretty good. And so together those guys would make a green. But I still say draft another guy.
Yeah, I could agree with that. And I think the Bears are also in the market for a free agent running back. So, yeah, I agree with you there.
Now, for O-line, I think Tevin Jenkins is arguably our best guy. I thought about him or Darnell Wright. I would say Tevin Jenkins is a green. He's also developed this year especially.
Yeah.
Really powerful guy. Not quite the blue chip level yet, and we're going to have to extend him after this year is over. But I have no doubt that they are going to keep him because he's one of the few guys that we can actually count on week in, week out on the offensive line.
Yeah. Not a lot of those on the Bears.
Unfortunately not. I did give Darnell Wright a green. You can argue that he's pink. But I would say of all the first-round offensive linemen from him and Paris Johnson and Peter Skoronski, you can argue Darnell Wright was the best.
Yeah.
Could easily be a blue chip at guard, in my opinion, but they are playing him at right tackle, and he's been very solid.
And that's tough for a rookie to hold it down like that. So,
yeah,
I give him the nod, the green nod.
A lot of talent there for sure, so could eventually work his way up to a blue. Now, I did put a yellow for Braxton Jones / Nate Davis just because Braxton Jones had a little bit of a penalty issue, but I think him and Nate Davis together, injury concerns between the two of them, pretty solid when they play. Maybe not good enough to say you don't take a tackle in the first round or a guard in the first round. But I would say together they're still pretty solid, maybe a little bit of injury concern. So I had them at a yellow, those two together. Now for pass rushers, I tried to tone my bias down a little bit because I think most Bears fans will tell you Montez Sweat's a blue chip guy.
Yeah.
I put him at green. I say,
Okay.
all right, we're not doing anything crazy. He had like 12 sacks this year. Did lead Washington and the Bears both in sacks respectively.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's crazy.
Yeah, but he is a solid at the very minimum edge rusher. Like he at his ceiling, top 10 in the league. They gave him the contract. They're paying him like it. I think next year is where he takes the leap into blue chip, but he needs some help on the other side.
Damn, so you're being a little bit more realistic than me.
Just a little bit. I try to temper my expectations a little bit because a lot of Bears fans kind of just blow their expectations out of the water, or their opinions on players are Bears fans. We have a lot of hope, not a lot of results. So sometimes that hope really transpires into overcompensating in our guys.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to keep it neutral.
In no world should Aleem McNeil be a blue chip and Montez Sweat isn't.
That's a good point as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, for our other pass rusher, I had Javon Dexter as a pink because he had a really first half of the season, Jalen Carter was amazing, and then the second half of the season, Javon Dexter had a better year than Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
So I'm saying he's unproven. He had a really strong second half. Still need another edge guy there. There's no reason why you should have a green and then no one else. Like Javon was the only person I could have even put here. Marcus Walker is not really doing anything. Ngakoue is on his way out.
Yeah.
So I would say he's a pink there. Third round rookie.
Fair.
Blue chip, Jalen Johnson.
Yep.
I think that one speaks for itself. Lockdown corner. Got to extend him.
No contract concerns? You're not concerned about that?
I'm not worried at all because he's getting
working on it.
franchised and he is here to stay. I'm not even concerned. Maybe he's a yellow in Daniel Jeremiah's world, but no, he's a blue chip guy when he's on the field. In terms of our other defensive playmakers, I combined T.J. Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds into one.
I like that.
I said they were green together just because I honestly think T.J. Edwards had the better year. He was just a better impact player, but Tremaine Edmonds had a lot of tackles.
Very similar players.
Yes, definitely. Good tackler, pretty physical. TJ is better in the passing game through the air in coverage.
So how about Brisker? Where'd you throw Jaquan Brisker at there?
Jaquan Brisker I had as the next playmaker. I put actually all three of the guys in the secondary that I didn't include yet. So I have Jaquan Brisker, Tyreek Stevenson, and Kyler Gordon all in one category. Together, those guys as our third D playmaker. I put as green. Brisker, you could argue he could have been a Pro Bowler this year.
Yeah.
Tyreek Stevenson was a candidate for Defensive Rookie of the Year. And Kyler Gordon has been a very solid guy in his second year, showed a lot of promise. I don't think he's quite a star player yet. Tyreek Stevenson also kind of came on strong in the second half, whereas the first half he struggled. Jaquan Brisker is really coming into his own and being one of the better safeties in the league, though.
Dude, that's a solid secondary over there in Chicago. When you break it down like that, they got depth at every position, it seems like. Interesting. So is that it?
Yeah, that is it. So I have quarterback is obviously a question, whether you want to say that's yellow or pink. They need to address that, whether it's commit to Fields and get him another weapon or draft Caleb. But yeah, aside from that, they need one more offensive playmaker. The O-line, maybe they could get one more studly guy there who doesn't have injury concerns. And then they need another pass rusher. But their secondary is looking pretty nice.
They need a pass rusher.
Yeah.
That's really all I would say. So in breaking this down and analyzing your championship foundation, are the Bears going to be like a playoff team next year?
I hope so, man. I think if we have Justin Fields at the quarterback spot, he's probably the most ready to go just because – that's his goal. He said this year it's playoff or bust. So I need that. But then again, Caleb Williams could have a CJ Stroud effect on this team. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see. But they better make the playoffs. They better be a wild card team.
And we still don't even know what the roster is going to look like come September. So
True.
yeah, there's work to be done.
A lot of money to spend in free agency too.
Yeah,